crime was not the shocking part. The backpack was. On day 6 of the suppression and evidentiary hearing in the Manhattan Supreme Court, the stage set to zero in on the high-stakes constitutional battle over evidence seized from Luigi Mangione's backpack after his arrest in Altoona, Pennsylvania. The central theme across the entire day was no longer about whether Luigi Mangione committed the underlying crime, but whether key physical evidence would be admissible at trial, a question that could dramatically reshape the prosecution's case. Prosecutors came highly prepared, steadily building their argument that what was found in the backpack is crucial to linking Luigi Mangione to the murder of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson, including a fully loaded gun magazine wrapped in wet underwear, a ghost gun and silencer, travel documents, and a notebook with handwritten planning notes. All these things are solid building blocks to demonstrate real intent and premeditation. These items were discussed in court through officer testimony and body cam footage that was played for the judge and lawyers during the hearing. This phase of the hearing is one of the most consequential pretrial events to date because the defense is aggressively arguing that the initial search of the backpack was warrantless and unconstitutional. Defense counsel pressed police officers, especially Lieutenant William Hanley, on the stand about why no warrant was obtained before the search and whether Pennsylvania law truly permitted warrantless searches incident to arrest. Officer Hanley defended the search as standard search incident to arrest, arguing that at that moment, Luigi Mangione was detained. The backpack was effectively within his immediate control. This is the part that will make your head spin. While search incident to arrest is a recognized exception, its application hinges on whether Luigi Mangione's backpack was genuinely subject to the exception at the times officers accessed it, first at the McDonald's and later at the police station. There were a few point of views about the backpack being physically separated from Luigi Mangione and by some accounts under officers' control at distances that might push beyond the immediate control doctrine. A few police officers themselves debated on body cam whether a warrant was necessary given the severity of the underlying murder charge, with at least one officer initially suggesting a warrant might be required, only to be overruled by another who asserted a warrant was unnecessary. This exchange on body cam can be seen as symptomatic of deeper issues at play, not just the legality of this particular search, but the broader questions about police procedures in high-profile manhunts and the extent to which exigent circumstances existed. Police officers testified they did not need a search warrant to search Luigi's backpack. 2 Altoona supervisory police officers testified, in their view, the warrantless backpack search was fully justified under the search incident to arrest exception to the Fourth Amendment. Defense attorneys argued this point is precisely the constitutional question at the heart of the hearing. What might seem like routine police procedure has become legally complicated, with some officers offering differing accounts of how and why the backpack was searched, and defense counsel trying to use those inconsistencies to push exclusion of the most damaging items. Suppression hearings like this, where evidence is contested before trial, are a routine but pivotal part of criminal litigation, especially in cases with emotionally charged facts. Now let's peek into the tactical positioning of both sides. The defense team aiming to demonstrate a series of procedural missteps, from delay in advising Luigi Mangione of his Miranda rights to the timing and execution of the backpack search, while the prosecutors trying to show a lawful chain of custody and justifications that will withstand suppression challenges. Day 6 shows us that this hearing is shaping up to make or break turning point in the case, not because it resolves guilt or innocence, but because it may determine what the jury ultimately gets to see and hear. Unlike past coverage centered on dramatic manhunt and the killing itself, this Day 6 is sober, focused on constitutional standards, police procedure, and deep legal technicalities that could decide whether the prosecution's strongest evidence ever reaches a jury. The hearing is ongoing. Day 6 did not conclude admissibility disputes. Multiple additional officers were expected to testify on 12/12/2025, which is Day 7 of Luigi's suppression hearing, and the judge continuing to gather testimony before ruling later. Day 6 was not loud. It was not melodramatic. It was quiet. And that's what made it so devastating. In a courtroom, hundreds of miles from the little McDonald's where Luigi Mangione was arrested, officers calmly describe opening a backpack while its owner sat solemnly. No shouting, no theatrics, just a decision, one that could decide whether a young man's future is sealed before a jury ever hears his name. What truly stood out was not what police say they found. It was how ordinary the moment was when they found it. On the body cam footage, officers can be heard debating the law in real time. Do we need a warrant? Are we allowed to do this? The bag was already separated. Luigi already under control. That sounds very mundane, but irreversible. And it is now at the center of a case that could end someone's life as he knew it. I don't know if you can see how surreal it is that everything hinges on minutes. Not on the crime itself, but on what happened after the handcuffs clicked, after the adrenaline all faded, after the suspect became just another person sitting under fluorescent lights, watched by strangers who would later testify about his fate. There was also the quiet acknowledgement that Luigi was first arrested for something small, a fake ID, not murder, not violence. And from that moment, events accelerated beyond anything he could undo. This is how lives unravel in real time, not with drama, but with procedure. Day 6 reminded us that courts do not just decide cases. They decide what stories juries are allowed to hear. If the search stands, jurors will see objects that speak for him when he cannot. If it falls, those objects disappear, not because they are not powerful, but because the law says power has limits. And beneath all of it is something uncomfortable that I keep circling back to. No matter what Luigi did or did not do, the Constitution is being tested on his body. That's why Day 6 lingered, not because of what was said, but because of what can never be taken back. No matter what all of this evidence says, the life he had before Altoona, it's already gone. And that's the tragedy that his parents cannot look away from. Luigi had so much going on for him. He really had a big, bright future, a future most people on this planet spend their lives chasing, a future that could have stretched decades, loads of money, big brain, talent, opportunity, $1 million family business to fall back on, plus a life that was still beautifully blooming. And somehow it still was not enough? That question will outlive his entire trials. Whatever brought him to that McDonald's in Altoona swiftly erased all of it in minutes. My heart is truly, deeply aching because a lot of my clients do not have anything going on. I am reacting from professional grief and moral whiplash because there are people who come into court with literally nothing. No safety net, no second chances, no exits. Their parents are drug addicts. And then there are cases like this, where doors were wide open, time existed, and choices still narrow to one irreversible moment. The law will decide what evidence survives. But for those who see the system every day, the hardest part is not the procedure. It's watching a future collapse that did not have to.